My daughter smiled when I begged her to stop. She thought age had broken me. She was wrong. The day respect died. My name is Margaret Lewis, and I'm 72 years old. People say the older you get, the gentler life becomes. I wish that were true. Because the cruelest chapter of my life began the day I moved into my daughter's house. I remember standing on her porch with 2 bags, just 2. Because at this age, you don't own much except memories. She opened the door, and instead of the warm hug I had imagined, she glanced at the bags and sighed. "Mom, please tell me that's all you brought." Her voice had that tone, annoyed, tight, like hosting her own mother was a chore. But I smiled, because when you're a mother, you keep smiling, even when it hurts. Inside her home, everything was neat, modern, clinical, like a hotel lobby with no warmth. I tried to sit on the couch, but she quickly pointed to a corner chair. "Sit there, Mom. I don't want the cushions losing shape." That was the moment a small crack appeared inside me. That night, I cooked for her family, my famous rosemary chicken. Her kids devoured it, but she didn't say a word. Not thank you, not I missed your cooking, just silence. When dinner ended, I reached for the dishes, something I always do, but she grabbed my wrist. "Don't touch that. You'll break something. I'll handle it." She said it loudly in front of her husband, like I was a child. Or worse, a burden. I went to bed early, telling myself she was stressed, telling myself tomorrow would be better. But tomorrow wasn't kinder. By the 3rd day, she began correcting everything I did. How I folded towels, how I answered the kids, even how I walked across the hallway. Like my presence in her house was an inconvenience she was trying to manage. Then came the moment I'll never forget. I accidentally dropped a spoon. Just a spoon. It made a tiny metallic sound on the floor. Before I could bend to pick it up, she turned and said, "Mom, this is exactly why I didn't want you here. You make everything harder." My heart didn't break. It shattered, quietly, the way old hearts do. I whispered, "I'm sorry." And she smiled, a small, satisfied smile, as though my apology proved her right. That night, lying on a bed that didn't feel like mine, in a home where I felt like a stranger, I realized a truth I never thought I would face. The child I raised with love was now the person who made me feel unwanted in the world. But she didn't know one thing. I had survived abandonment before. I had survived heartbreak before. And I would survive this too. Because age doesn't break you. Silence doesn't break you. Cruelty doesn't break you. But it does awaken something dangerous, a strength people forget mothers carry. And soon, she was going to remember exactly who I was.
The smile that changed everything. The next morning, I woke before everyone else. Old habits never die. I quietly made myself a cup of tea and sat by the kitchen window. Outside, the sun was rising, soft and golden, yet somehow it felt colder than winter. As I stirred my tea, I heard footsteps. My daughter, Lena, walked in, rubbing her eyes, already annoyed, as if my breathing disturbed her peace. She didn't say good morning. She didn't ask if I slept well. She just looked at the mug in my hand and frowned. "Mom, that's my favorite cup. Can you please not use things without asking?" Her voice wasn't angry. It was worse. It was dismissive. I gently placed the cup on the table and said, "Of course, I'm sorry." And then she smiled. Not a warm smile, not a forgiving smile, but a smile that said she enjoyed having the upper hand. A smile that said I had become small. That smile did something inside me. Not the kind of hurt that brings tears, the kind that brings clarity. I finally understood this wasn't stress. This wasn't misunderstanding. This was how she truly saw me now. A burden, a guest, an old woman to be managed. Later that day, her friend came over. A woman I'd met many times through the years, someone who once hugged me like a second mother. This time, she barely looked at me. "Oh, you're staying here now?" she asked Lena, loud enough for me to hear. Lena nodded. "Yeah, it's, temporary. But you know how it is. Parents get older and suddenly everything becomes your responsibility." Her friend laughed softly. My daughter shrugged like a tired martyr, and the humiliation sat heavy in my chest. When they moved to the living room, I heard Lena telling her friend, "She just needs supervision. I can't trust her not to mess things up." Supervision. Me. A woman who worked 2 jobs, raised her alone, kept her fed, educated, safe. A woman who survived a cheating husband, financial collapse, and cancer. But now I needed supervision? I quietly walked back to my small guest room, shut the door, and sat on the edge of the bed. My hands were shaking, not out of weakness, but out of something else. Something rising inside me that had been asleep for decades. I whispered to myself, "She thinks I'm broken." Then I looked in the mirror, at the lines on my face, at the gray in my hair, at the years etched into my skin. But in my eyes, I saw something familiar, something I thought I'd lost a long time ago. Strength. The silent kind, the ancient kind. People forget mothers don't just survive life, they survive what life takes from them. That evening, when Lena walked past me in the hallway, she said, "Mom, don't forget to stay in your room when my husband gets home. He doesn't want clutter around when he's tired." Clutter. That's what I had become. I nodded slowly, and she smiled again. That same victory smile. But she didn't know. That smile was the last push I needed, because something inside me whispered, "Enough." Tomorrow, everything would change. Not with shouting, not with anger, but with dignity. And with a decision she never saw coming.
The day I finally spoke. The next morning, Lena hosted a brunch for her coworkers. Fancy people in fancy clothes, talking about promotions, vacations, salaries I could never dream of. I kept to my usual corner, quiet, invisible, the old woman who shouldn't breathe too loudly. I heard one of them whisper, "Is that your mom? I didn't know she lived with you." Lena sighed dramatically, loud enough for the room and for me. "Yeah, she moved in last week. It's been a lot." A lot? I cooked for her kids, cleaned when she wasn't looking, folded laundry I wasn't allowed to touch, ate from plates she didn't like me using, sat silently where she told me to sit. But it was a lot for her. That's when her coworker joked, "Good luck. Aging parents are like toddlers with wrinkles." Everyone laughed, even Lena, even my own daughter. My heart didn't just sink, it hardened. I excused myself and went to the kitchen to breathe. The walls felt too close, the air too heavy, the humiliation too sharp. While I stood there, Lena walked in holding a tray. She didn't notice I was crying. Or maybe she did and chose not to care. "Mom, can you please not wander around when guests are here? People get uncomfortable." Uncomfortable. My existence made people uncomfortable. I turned to her slowly and said, "Did I embarrass you?" She scoffed. "Mom, please, don't make this emotional. I'm just trying to keep things together." I looked at her, really looked at her. My daughter, my only child, the girl whose scraped knees I used to kiss, the girl who cried in my arms when kids were mean, the girl I protected from a world that now she was becoming part of. And then something inside me clicked. For the first time in weeks, my voice didn't shake. "Lena, do you think I'm helpless?" She shrugged. "Well, Mon, you kind of are. I mean, look at you. You can't manage things the way you used to. It's just reality. I'm doing you a favor." A favor. That word burned, I took a slow breath and said, "I survived things you don't have the backbone for." She blinked, surprised, annoyed. "Mom, what is that supposed to mean?" I wiped my tears and looked her in the eyes. "It means I may be old, but I'm not broken, and I don't need your permission to exist." She laughed nervously, not because it was funny, but because she didn't know how to handle me speaking up. "Mom, just stay out of the way today, okay?" And she walked away. That was the moment I knew this wasn't my home. It wasn't my place. It wasn't even safe for my dignity. That night, after everyone was asleep, I sat on the edge of my bed, the same bed where I had cried silently for days, and I made a decision that would remind my daughter exactly who I was and what I still had left. I whispered to myself, "Tomorrow, I leave." Not in anger, not in shame, but with the dignity she forgot I had. What I didn't know was my leaving would not just change my life, it would change hers too.
When a mother walks away. I woke up before dawn. The house was quiet, still, unaware of the storm about to break. I packed slowly, 2 bags, the same 2 bags I'd arrived with. It's funny. You live an entire lifetime, build a home, raise a child, and in the end, everything you own fits into 2 bags. I folded my clothes carefully, not because anyone cared, but because I cared. Dignity starts in the smallest places. As I zipped the last bag, I felt something I hadn't felt in weeks. Peace. The kind that comes when you finally stop begging someone to value you. Around 6 a.m., Lena walked into my room without knocking. Her hair was messy, her expression irritated, like I had already done something wrong simply by being awake. Then she saw the bags. "Mom, what are you doing?" I stood straight, steady, unshaken. Something in my posture must have startled her, because she didn't move closer. "I'm leaving," I said simply. She blinked, confused, then annoyed, then defensive. "Leaving? Mom, don't be ridiculous. Where would you even go?" I looked at her for a long moment. Someplace where I'm not treated like clutter. Her mouth opened, then closed. She hadn't expected that. For the first time, she saw something she hadn't seen in years. Me. "Mom, I didn't mean," I raised my hand to stop her. "You meant every word, every sigh, every order, every look." She swallowed, suddenly looking much smaller than the woman who controlled every room she walked into. "I'm just under stress. Work, kids, the house." "I know, Lena. I remember being your age. I worked 2 jobs. I came home to a house that needed everything, but I never treated you like a burden." Her eyes glistened, softening, breaking. But I wasn't finished. "You forgot something, Lena. You forgot that I'm not helpless. You forgot that I'm the woman who raised you alone, the woman who survived more than you'll ever know." She stepped closer. "Mom, please don't go. I can do better." I placed a trembling but steady hand on her cheek. "Maybe you can, but you won't, not until you understand what you've done." A tear slipped down her face. "Where will you go?" I smiled gently. "Somewhere I'm respected. I have old friends, a church family, a community center. I'll be fine." She stared at me like she was seeing her mother for the first time. Not the tired, quiet woman she'd been bossing around, but the warrior who had raised her. As I walked toward the door, she whispered, "Mom, please don't leave like this." I turned back. "You're the one who sent me away, every time you made me feel unwanted. I'm just finally listening." Her knees weakened. Her tears fell freely. But I couldn't stay. Some wounds stop healing when you keep reopening them. I picked up my bags and stepped outside. The cold air hit my face, but for the first time in weeks, I felt alive. As I closed the door behind me, I whispered, "Maybe this is how you'll learn." What I didn't know was, before the day ended, something would happen that would shake my daughter's world and make her realize exactly what she had lost.
The day she finally understood. I walked down the street with my 2 bags, the morning cold wrapping around me like an old coat. The neighborhood was waking up, cars starting, dogs barking, sprinklers turning on. Life goes on, even when a mother silently breaks. I waited at the bus stop. The wooden bench was cold, but it felt more welcoming than my daughter's home. As I sat there, I thought of all the years I had given her, all the holidays I made magical, all the nights I stayed awake when she was sick, all the sacrifices I made so she wouldn't feel alone. And yet, here I was, a stranger to her comfort, a burden to her peace. The bus arrived, and I stepped in, placing my bags beside me. But just as the doors were about to close, I heard someone shouting, "Mom! Mom, wait!" It was Lena, running down the street, barefoot, hair flying, still wearing her pajamas. Her face was red, her eyes wild with panic. She stumbled onto the bus steps, breathless. "Don't go, please, don't go." People on the bus turned, watching the scene unfold like a movie. Lena grabbed my hands, crying so hard she could barely speak. "Mom, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I didn't see what I was doing. I didn't realize how cruel I sounded. I didn't know you were hurting this much." Her voice cracked. Not the controlled, confident tone she always used, but the voice of a little girl who just realized she broke the only person who never stopped loving her. I looked at her quietly. Not angry, not revengeful, just tired. "Lena, you didn't hurt me in one day. It happened piece by piece. Little comments, little sighs, little dismissals. You didn't even notice." She shook her head, tears falling on my hands. "I promise I'll do better. I'll respect you. I'll listen. Just don't leave me." Suddenly, her knees buckled and she sank onto the bus floor. The passengers gasped. I quickly knelt beside her. "Lena, get up, sweetheart." She sobbed harder. "Mom, I can't lose you, not like this. I've been overwhelmed, angry at myself, angry at life, and I took it out on the one person who didn't deserve it." Her voice broke like glass. The bus driver cleared his throat softly. "Ma'am, you want to step off? Take your time?" I held Lena's face in my hands. My daughter, my baby, the child whose small fingers once held mine at every crossing. "Lena, I left so you could understand, not to punish you, to teach you what my silence couldn't." She looked up, eyes swollen. "I understand now. Please come home, or let me come with you. Just don't leave me alone in this lesson." And that was the moment I felt her heart opening again. Not with pride, with humility, not with guilt, with understanding. I stood slowly and helped her up. "All right," I whispered gently, "let's go home, but this time we treat each other with respect." She nodded, wiping her eyes. As we walked off the bus, her hand slipped into mine, not guiding me, not controlling me, but holding me, like she used to when she was a little girl. That night, her home felt different, warm, soft, human, and for the first time in a long time, she sat beside me on the couch and said, "Mom, thank you for coming back, and thank you for showing me what love really looks like." I smiled, because sometimes a mother's strength isn't in staying, it's in walking away long enough for her child to finally see her.